Well, it's that time again. We're on the Lightworkers Lounge. So exciting. And of course, you guys watching at home, you're on the lounge with us. It's a quantum lounge, guys. Everyone's invited on the lounge. Well, not everyone, because, there might be some stick whackers, as we call them in Australia. There might be some stick whackers who want to come in here and tell us, we don't know what we're talking about. So you're not welcome on the lounge if you're a stick whacker. You're only welcome on the lounge if you're willing to open your heart, you're willing to open your mind, you're willing to open into some of these more esoteric spaces. And hello from Galway. Hello, beautiful Linda. Lovely to have you here. We just this morning I got trolled on a post of mine yesterday telling me that, it was an illusion what I was speaking to, and I was spreading lies. And how dare I, because I was confident enough to speak to the inversion of some of these very despicable characters, let's call them evil characters, who are siphoning energy. And this woman wanted to jump on my post and tell me that there's no such thing as consciousness being trapped, that's an illusion. I've got to stop spreading lies. And I thought, wow. There you go. To me, her consciousness was indeed trapped just to make a statement like that. And she proceeded to go through other people's comments and attack them. And, that in itself, her actions speak to exactly what's happening for her. I don't need to even confront her about it. I just am a witness. I'm an observer to that. At the point where we feel that we need to charge into someone else's personal space, which is their Facebook page, and declare what is truth and to tell other people they are wrong, means that we are frightened, deeply frightened within ourselves. So we can observe all reality, all truths. We can hold space for all people's truths, and that different particular angle in which we may be deriving information and sharing that intel then with others. So really important, particularly in shows like this where we go very quantum, where we start looking at the astral planes, lower as well as higher, into the high galactic heavens, and then deeper down into the primordial waters, that the plasmic realms. The space is plasma, water is plasma. We're going to learn so much about these realms today from our beautiful, beautiful guest, the amazing, we've had her on the Lightworkers Lounge a few times, Raeline Brady. Here you are, darling. Welcome.
Oh, hello. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Very, very delighted to be with Carrie presenting this topic of Stargates and Portals. And it's like, no pressure. Where do we begin? I was just saying to Carrie, we could be doing a 2-week retreat and still not get through everything on this subject matter. But it's amazing. Hello, everyone. Hi, Jessica.
It certainly is amazing. And we want to do a little bit of a focus on the Gaza Stargate today. We're going to have my beautiful man, Chris Bygraves, come on later, as well as another regular on the Lightworkers Lounge, a friend of both of ours, Michael Muir. And we're going to do a bit of an astral mission over the Gaza Stargate, see what's going on. And also Michael's going to anchor some beautiful frequencies with light language, and you may as well, Raeline. We know there's chaos and a mess going on there. For me, it's almost like viewing a video game. And sometimes we need to perhaps accept that 3D can in fact be like we are avatar beings within a simulation or within a video game, but that never takes away the heartbreak of what we're witnessing. And so trying to always balance those two fields together so that we are not sucked into the dark force, we're not taken down by it, but certainly pay attention enough that we can bring our attention and our awareness and our pure loving God, goddess frequency to it. So we'll be diving into that a little bit later. But earlier this year, Raeline, theming around sacred sites, one of the powerful things that you do amongst many is to go to sacred sites and do a lot of grid work. You were in Greece earlier this year. And before I let you take it away, it was the timing of you bringing out that you were going to Greece to do grid work, and I wish I had been there. I had literally, maybe just the day before, had this huge download that I had to go to Greece to do grid work. And I thought, where is this coming from? I have no idea what this means. Go on. Well, there you are, going to Greece to do some grid work. I'm like, okay, it's all right. One of my sisters has got it. She's taking care of it. So tell us more about that. What led you to there and the work that you did?
Well, thank you for asking. And yes, Greek was what we called mega, and the whole thing was called Mega Purge. That was the title. And yeah, we went there for all different purposes and reasons, and we came out with something entirely different. And even this week, I'm getting like massive light bulb downloads still about what occurred and what is still occurring as a result of us showing up, basically. All that's ever required is to show up. Many are called, few are chosen. It's not an elitist thing. It's just many, don't bother to, follow the call. But we've all followed the calling, and the calling, in that moment was in divine perfect geometry for us and what we were to achieve. The whole purpose for me, I felt, was very Atlantean, because I was on Santorini, or an island that was a part of the break-off of Santorini. Like Greece 100 years ago, it was phenomenal energy there. And I just got that there's a mass exodus occurring with the sons of Belial. And basically it's either show up or shove off. That, within this frequency band that we are all holding, grateful to you all, because it's no small feat, it's just not doable for the bodies they have, for the consciousness that they have, for the intention they have for being here on this planet. So basically, there's a mass exodus happening. And interesting we use that word, because that's the whole word used in the Holy Lands, isn't it? So it's interesting that there is this whole, the zeitgeist is picking up on this.
Yes, and all, for many people I know who are already tuning in here are very aware of the interconnection in the grid system as well as the Stargate system. So we'll be looking at the both and how they work together as one, and how really, as you spoke about, those who are called to this work act as nodal points here on the earth. So they are a conduit system for those higher gateways coming through, bringing it through their physical being, their meridian system, their chakra system, and then radiating out definitely through the soles of their feet. That's why bare feet on the earth, very important, down into that crystalline grid of Mother Gaia, to be re-uploaded around different portals around the planet. Who are these sons of Belial, Raeline? How can we, for those who may be new to this, how can we expand on what that frequency is?
So during the end times of Atlantis, there were sons of Baal who, could be seen. He's playing his part perfectly within that perfect geometry of, God's order, within duality, which is what we have signed up as a free will choice for this planet. We have to remember that. And in order, we are not that. We are not, these are roles and designations we're all playing out as part of a cosmic play, theatre. And there was a lot of theatre going on in Delphi. And basically, these are beings, what I call, the false gods of tyranny, or the false kings of tyranny, in a cosmic sense, who come here and want to lord it over and not work with divine principles. And they want to work with trickery, with humankind, and do every manner of trick to, not have humans awaken to their, their divine source code as angelic humans. And so we are facing a moment where that is no longer to play out. You know, they've been given enough rope. And this time it's like, as I said, these frequency bands, they can no longer withstand here. Their purpose is done. Enough humankind are waking up. They're realizing what they're holding. And this is big. This is big for these guys, because everything that they've forgotten about who they are as source-coded beings, you know, in the organics, not in the AI cloning and so forth that are, you know, and the mutations, but in the organic of these beings and what they were holding, it's no longer viable. It no longer holds credence for us, because we know who we are and we know what we hold. And, you know, even, you know, when I went to Delphi, it was very much about, we know the jig's up, but, you know, it was so nice playing this out and lording it over, and material nature and lording it over you lot. But, you know, reluctantly, but, you know, a lot of them are giving up willingly, and are even, listen to this, you know, the demigods are lining up to take birth here, and they're actually agreeing to let go of what they were holding in the coveting aspect, but with their full memories intact. So can you imagine what that's going to be for our planet with these new babies and children coming through? You know, these babies are carrying incredible full encoded plasma, you know. And I have to say,
powerful. Yeah,
that the golden plasma that is streaming in through, you know, the solar activity that's not by chance, and the solar golden plasma of our blood, our blood plasma is gold, pure gold. And I have to say, for these beings, that is no longer palpable. It's no longer, I'll even say, digestible. So when we look at it in that aspect, we can see there's a lot shifting out here. There's a lot shifting. And, you know, this is not just happening on a galactic level or a surface Earth level. You know, most of what we're experiencing now is happening in the intraterrestrial realms, because that's where a lot of this is playing out. You know, a lot of the 2D telluric forces that are actually flooding our planet, or, you know, sustain us with the pulse of Gaia through the ley lines and the ley arteries, the great ley arteries, that is all going through a big transmutation, because a lot of these beings have been hanging out and bouncing off and hijacking a lot of these amazing telluric forces, harnessing off the organic. Otherwise, they can't operate without the organic. So
I'd love
if
you
we
to
claim, our organic source codes, then the game's over.
Exactly. I'd love your insights, Raeline. Did we create this script just for our own investigation? So many people, and I'll tell you my sense, first of all, and we don't even have to align, but my sense is, yes, we did indeed, because otherwise it would render us victims, that this is all happening to us and that we are powerless to it. And so many people have put themselves into that box. It's them out there that's sucking our life force. For me, I see it as we made the choice to fall from grace. That's just a saying, to have that memory wipe, to have the DNA go offline, to invoke, and we spoke about this just before we went live, to invoke, therefore, our hero or heroine's journey to come online once again. And so it's the seeming disconnection from God, goddess, and all that is, seemingly, until that memory reactivates. And then we realize that we were never separate, but we were just moving through all of these galactic experiences as if we were having a separate, experience here. So I'd love your insights on that.
Yeah, I agree in the sense that, we sign up for certain things before we come. And when we're in the womb, we actually are not in forgetfulness for quite some time. And I think it's the first 6 months we're actually in consciousness, and we're having a whole dialogue, deciding what we're going to actually, do once we get out of the womb gate. We have womb gates all over our planet. We have womb gates. Men have womb gates, not just women, for birthing consciousness, not just for birthing children. That is one of the functions, but it's not the only function. A lot of the stargates are very much based on this principle of womb gates. So when we're in the womb gate, we're deciding, and we have a conversation with God that goes, whatever you want to call it, divine source, that goes along. You sure you want to go down and do this? Yes. Are you sure you want to do it that way? Yes. Are you sure you're sure? Yes. Okay, I'm sending you. So whoosh, off we go to start the journey, the hero-heroine's journey yet again. Now, within certain dimensional realms, we have exit and entry gates in our body, and we also have exit and entry gates on the planet. So there are gates that we traverse through to enter into this realm. And if you're working with stargates and portals, it's really important to get to know what your exit and entry gate is, because that's like having your back. They have your back when you're doing this work. They have your back as gatekeepers. And you also have people from your DNA lineage who have your back, whether they were conscious of what they were carrying or not, but they have your back too. So through DNA lineage, with an exo lineage and a terrestrial lineage, they have your back too with Stargate activity, whatever you're doing. So yes, I do believe this, and I not only believe that I believe that happens, but it's like we have a ring past knot of our universe, our sun, the ascended masters, the councils of light. They all have a ring past knot. And an interesting thing happened in 2017, where the ring past knot for everyone on this planet through the sun and the great central sun actually increased in dilation. And so at any point, there can be a special dispensation, a boon given to anyone to surpass what they've set up. So I say to people, nothing's set in stone. It's known in India. You can go and with a sincere heart, clap your hands 3 times in front of the deities, and the whole timelines and everything to do with your palmistry changes. And there are bubbas in India too it's called the copper plate bubbas, and I sat in front of one of them, and they talk in Arisen, and next minute they're saying all these prayers, and these blank copper plates, little square plates, just suddenly have all this writing on them that look like galactic writing. And then suddenly they interpret this writing, and it's changing. It's changing. So
it really is a metamorphosis that's going on. And what's been theming for me lately, Raeline, is this idea of shape-shifting. And I feel that the dark side, for want of a better word, have been showing us the way. I often go to them for the greatest codes, because they can't help but show us the truth. And so we became familiar with this idea of shape-shifting. We can look at, great teachers like David Icke, who talked about the reptilian shapeshifters, how they can maintain a human form. But in fact, and for those of us with an open third eye, see their astral form quite clearly. It's one and the same to us. But we are also shapeshifters. We are also in a process of metamorphosis. We are moving into these higher and deeper. It's a very big theme also coming through for me. Don't just always say higher. This is what my guides are saying. It's not just higher, it's deeper. And we're going to get into this soon about the ocean gate that I saw open. It's in the depths of our being. So these higher and deeper selves are actually going to metamorphosize in real time without having to go through the death and rebirth process. So we literally are, it's maybe said in the regular narratives, we're moving into 5D whilst maintaining our physical form. This is said to be the first time it has ever happened in the galactic history. I don't know. I can't read all the records in the Akashic records, guys, but it feels like something momentous is taking place and that we're all pioneering. We're all right there at the forefront of this together. No one's leading this individually. It's a process of togetherness. So yeah, it's very powerful. But Raeline, we have to bring in the amazing Chris, and we've got some stories for you, Raeline. Well, Chris, I'm going to bring him in, and there he is, my lovely man, regular on the Lightworkers Lounge. But,
morning, all.
Good morning, Chris.
Yeah, or evening. We're saving this, Raeline, for you to do live because Chris knows you from another space and time. And the first time I told him I was speaking to you a few years ago, and he just immediately like goosebumps, something's going on here. And then he was, watching your shows and he's like, heart's opening, crying, there's something here. So Chris, I would love you to tell Raeline who she is to you from another space and time.
Oh, that's a bit heavy. Yeah, it's a fascinating one. I think as we go through our life journey, we start to remember different aspects of ourselves, not necessarily just this 3D vessel that we're in here right now. I think once you start exploring and sort of leading on to what you guys were talking about this morning, when you start bringing in the astral and stargates and geometries and astrologies and astronomy, the whole work, suddenly this whole new concept opens up for you. And what came through for me fairly strongly, which is, I've sort of known this since I was about 8 years old anyway, that my heritage is very much aligned to the Orion Stargate. And there's many, look, I could do a 3-week show on that, don't get me wrong, but we'll just stick with the facts here for a second.
Please.
So that lineage for me has been very strong during my journey and my lifetime, and it's been sort of coming in thicker and faster as we move along with the information. And it was funny because when I first saw Carrie doing an interview with Raeline, just a light bulb went off in my head. It was just like, I know that woman. I don't know how, but I know her. And it was more about the essence and the vibration, the way that she was talking. And I guess I went to my guides at that particular time who were giving me a lot of information, particularly around existence on Orion and what your role is there and why you're here, and various other people from your dimension have been placed in around the globe as well. And you'll start to feel familiar. You'll start to recognize, it's kind of like an energy thing. Like it's familiar, but you can't put the jigsaw pieces in the puzzle quick enough. Like you can sort of see a picture, but it's like, quick, put another piece on. And the Raeline one was, they said, okay, tell us what you believe. And I said, well, I feel that there's a trust there but it comes from someone that I've had discussions with, someone that I kind of seek their counsel or their advice. And then they started telling me that, yeah, you're correct. As in, where do you think that information comes from? And I said, well, in this particular lifetime, I haven't really been one for authority figures. I'm pretty much run to the beat of my own drum. So I'm thinking, well, I don't really have that many people I want to listen to. So I'm thinking, hang on a sec, we've got to narrow this field down. But cut a long story short, yeah, they just said that Raeline was a member, she was a high priestess of the Orion Federation or the Orion Council. and that you would seek her counsel mainly on missions that I would have to be sent on, whether those missions would be, I guess, for the greater good. Were these missions no different to what happens here on Earth? Are you being sent off to fight someone else's war? Or are you being sent off to deliver a message that is really doesn't have its best intention? So I would always sort of seek that counsel to sort of say, okay, I've been asked to do X, Y, Z. Give me some insight and some foresight. Give me some understanding of the greater picture of this. And is this really something that needs to be rectified, adhered to, investigated, whatever the case may be? So yeah, Raeline, you were a person that I would seek great insight to as a trusted confidant, a kemosabe in many ways. And there wasn't many on my time in Orion, because I did live in a very, I guess, on the outer rim. I'd had the shits with the city life and I guess the governance and the power and the struggles that still go on there today. And I wasn't there to serve that. So when you don't have a lot of trusted people in your life, you generally go to the ones that have your best interest at heart, that that you can be very vulnerable with, is probably the word I'm looking for. So that's a very long story in a very short period of time. And for
it's beautiful. And Raeline,
one thing I will say, I was asked recently, and when I say recently, I'm talking 10 months ago, to put this entire story down. And I've been working on a very large book, which is now finished, and it tells the entire Stargate story, mainly centered around Orion. Its existence, why it's there. It goes heavily into the Orion Wars, all the characters, all the players. I name names. It's a fascinating journey, because it's taken me a very long time to download that information and actually put it into some sort of legible story. And it'll be available maybe next year once I've edited it, so it actually reads and makes sense. But that got led on from the journey I was just talking about a minute ago, to be led to that point, to go understand your history. You might want to write it down, because it's going to be something that you're going to need to use. And there'll be many points and references in there that you can always come back to, because as our 3D vessel is, we can't remember everything. So sometimes it's okay to keep a diary, write it in a book, write it on the wall, put it on the fridge, do whatever you need to do. So
yeah, it's very powerful and very beautiful, the connection. And I guess for you, Raeline, you guys, we need to all get together, don't we, in the flesh, and yes, see what work we can do together as we go forward. But this whole theming of the Orion Wars, and really how what's going on with the Earth Wars is, it's really a continuation of the same frequencies, I guess, and working towards this sacred balance all the time, and not polarizing too much. When I spoke about it at the top of the show, people who want to come and school me and really just go the love light way, that we can't battle here. How dare you battle here? And it's like, well, there's children whose life force, whose innocence is being completely obliterated. You betcha I'm going to battle here. And how dare you tell me that I'm not here to battle? So, yeah, but this leads us into Gaza, and we'll bring Michael on soon. But Raeline, sorry, I'll let you respond to Chris, and then we'll get on to the whole aspect of what's happening in Gaza.
Well, much gratitude for sharing that very sacred and sublime story, Chris. I feel it. I feel it. The stars in my bones resonate with that story. And I am so delighted to hear that you are bringing, the Chronicles of Orion to us all, because you have a wealth of knowledge from your innate, and, your remembering is great. You're putting back the dismembered parts of self. And we have to understand that outside of linear time, Genesis is perpetually occurring. So with that that innate understanding of no time, we can see Orion as the most incredible diamond that has, it pulls everything out of duality when each and every one of us are ready to receive. Otherwise, it will reflect as that diamond. No judgment, just it's reflecting everything. And I'm not from Orion, but I have an incredible love of Orion, and I understand what the inner sanctum of Orion represents. And for me, it is one of my gates, and it is an exit gate if by choosing through Mount of the Hostages in Tara. For those that know, that is an option for me this time round. And this is what I'm saying. It's good to know your gates, and it's good to know, where they are and what you can call on. My dog is named Orion. It's
There's
very,
a lot.
there's a lot in there for me. There's a lot
There's
in
a
there
lot.
for me. I'm not from there, but I
No.
have a great affinity and a great love in my heart for that jewel that is Orion, that operates beyond duality and actually transmute and transforms and pulses out everything that we are putting out in a dualistic sense. It always gives us, in any given moment, the opportunity to integrate our polarity pull and duality reality. And it is the greatest gift ever that one can ever have in catapulting out of the 3D caged effect, not 3D in itself, because 3D is amazing when it's connected in a true earth sense. And, we're using all, we're not throwing out the baby with the bathwater,
Beautiful. And I want to talk about the stargates that come from under the sea, or that people may indeed call them portals. One of the very well-known ocean portals, of course, is in the Bermuda Triangle. There's mysteries that have gone on there that no one can account for, just the complete...
Yeah.
Just like a little bit of dead air there. While she's coming back, just to reiterate sort of about stargates and different star systems, they're very much an intricate part of what's going on here too, because if you look at Earth, which has literally got a licorice all sorts of cultures here, from Western culture, Eastern culture, etc., Chinese and Native Americans and Australians and New Zealanders. A lot of the systems are very similar as well. Like as Raeline was saying, that whether it's Orion or Sirius or Pleiades, whatever the case may be, there are many, many pilgrimages, if that's a word, of people that have gone there and settled there, and also have created that as their home. So where you're getting a lot of the energy that's hitting particularly the Earth portal at the moment, everyone's getting a little bit of a zap to go, I feel like I'm aligned to, say, Venusians or Orions or whatever the case may be. That is because a lot of these star systems and stargates are littered with a multitude of species on them. And that's hence the reason why you're picking up a lot of these transmissions, is probably the word. And people are starting to remember.
And also the timelines that have been, severely hijacked are going through a huge resurgence as these demigods relinquish control over certain dominions, and we can see even in the case of Saturn or Kronos, he is as being the Lord of time. Well, no, we're eternal light beings. We're the masters of time ourselves. And so as people start to come on board with that realization and carrying that, especially into places where, timelines have been worked with in the organic, this is extremely powerful. It's like, my job's done here with this particular individual. And as, more come on board, more the merrier. It's like an impulse within the collective, first in the collective unconscious, subconscious, and then conscious, and whoosh, everyone's off. And we can see that's already well and truly happening. Blind Freddy can see that clocks don't exist anymore. People can see that time is speeded up infinitesimally. It's just incredible what's going on, and there's room for more. As more and more come on board, we're going to see this as our reality, or as our, rather than say, I get pulled up with reality and talking about actuality, because a reality is like a repeat performance of alities that can be hijackable. So our actuality is what I call the whys are actualized.
Yeah. And a lot of the stories in play on your word there, I mean, even the stories of our wonderful star heritage have all been hijacked. I mean, most of them get a bad rap. And you can throw Ryan into that. Most people say, "Oh," they sort of pull back and just go, "Oh, I believe that they're a bunch of rogues," and they, all they do is go out and fight and become galactic warriors and cause a lot of problems. Well, that's just bullshit. And I can't say it in the uttermost more ways, because most of the stories here have either been impacted by a darker force that want you to stay away from stuff that you need to know. So therefore, we'll put a narrative over the top of it for you to be a bit wary about it. And that's a lot of conditioning that also happens here on planet Earth. Now, whether that's your governments or your politicians or whatever it may be, they will derive a narrative for you to live in that box, and that's how it is. So when you're discovering your journey outside of your earthly humanity existence, a lot of the information that you will probably read is incorrect, because it's coming from a different space and time where they don't necessarily want you to investigate that. So my advice there is go very deep and go within, because the messages are here. They're within you, and your guides will line up one by one, and they will give you the real information. And it's a fascinating journey, because it really does help you understand your existence here. And it starts to put it into a little bit more of a sequence, I would say, because even though the space continuum at the moment is right here, right now, and this is what we're doing, a lot of your messaging and information that you're needing to continue forward does come from past, present, and future. And that is different timelines, different arrangements that you've had in different systems, different species, the list goes on and on and on. And we should never forget it. Just because you're in a human body at the moment having a human experience, it doesn't mean you can discount all the other journeys that you've been on. So I just wanted to make that point, because the reason for my book is that, I'm not saying it's the be all end all either, but what I can guarantee you is it's fine. It's the truth. It's finally telling the story, and it ain't all beer and Skittles either. There's a lot of treachery in there, and there's a lot of beauty and grace and harmony and compassion and empathy. And so, yeah, I just wanted to make that point, because it's been bugging me for a while. I've been doing a lot of astral travel, and some of the information, they keep telling me that, the various guides that come in, that they desperately want their story to be heard. They desperately want it to be told so that everyone can enjoy it. Everyone can tap into that resonance. And I've had to sort of tweak my timelines a bit too, because I had a perceived understanding of these people and connections. And a lot of it's not the case. It's, when you sit down and have a bit of a chat, it's like, okay, I get it. I understand now.
Absolutely. And the oceans are incredible ways in which we can expand our consciousness and the oceanic gateways are our oceanic consciousness. This is how we expand on. We were talking about the depth and the going higher dimensionally, but we're talking about this dilation of oceanic consciousness, which is fed through the oceanic stargates. And we are regulated by a mother ocean in the intraterrestrial realms of our planet, which connects in with, there are multiple oceans in our universe, and the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a Sanskrit, part of the Vedas, talks about these oceans in depth. Milk oceans, salt oceans here. There's even oceans of mango. There's oceans of ambrosia. There are all different types of oceans that help us to access this oceanic consciousness and consciousness streams. Now, people are not just spiking with, light bulb moments. They're actually going in through the streams. And the biggest gift I was given in Greece was that I chanced upon these golden triangles all over Greece that connect in with Sunyon, which is Poseidon's temple just outside of Athens. And I went and linked up 2 golden triangles of 6 points, one in Delphi, one on an island off of Athens, and then we have, the Acropolis and Sunyon. And in Poseidon's temple, I received an incredibly powerful activation. I've had quite a few activations, particularly with ocean gates. And for 10 years, I went every year to the Bermuda Triangle with my groups to Bimini, the Atlantis Road, and worked for a whole week with dolphins with this stuff. So I know what ocean gates are about. And this was a very powerful activation with a golden trident that it wasn't gifted, it was already in me, but it was fully activated with all the universal current flows of male, female, and neutral. So, positive, negative, neutral, electromagnetic, neutral. And it just came up with the trident over this crown over my head, and the energy in my spine, and the spinning in directions, and then what I call ionization, which is when you don't know whether the spin's going anti-clock or clock, and you're really hitting, all the currents are coming through the body. So it was a great gifting. And yeah, it's an oceanic kundalini that that is happening, and those that know about working with stargates and portals, this spinal fluid, what they call the sushumna, or it's actually a dolphin, energy, and it's a wave flow. But it's now, we've gone from this bi-wave patterning of the sine wave or a cosine into a tri-wave form now, and this is the gift that Poseidon's saying, I'm handing this over to humanity because I'm done with playing, as demigod, And when you show up as a source-guided being, or source-coded being, as I said, the whole game's over. They go, she knows or he knows. We can't mess with this one. This one's got it now. And it's the same with the planets. It's the same with astrology. It's the same with astronomy. It's the same with mythos. And this is what we're talking about, the hero and heroine journey. This really is. We are in that moment of, we've been all over the universe on a merry jig with our hero and heroine journey, and we're now claiming back so much of ourselves within dimensionality. But that's because we're recognizing and owning our eternality, and that we can influence all these beings. And that's why the demigods are lining up to take birth here, because there's no other place where you can experience it like this. The roller coaster ride is so great that unless you free will consciously choose to align with divine will, you're not going to get off this wave. And so when you can be the controller of the tri-wave form or the patterning, then you're influencing. You are influencing time. You are influencing greater cycles. You're part of what's going on in the universe, and that's what's required, and that's
Yeah.
what they want anyway. And
I
so
feel
it's
it's
initiatic
the
rites of passage.
Yeah, it's the unfurling of the DNA. When I listen to you speak, Raeline, I feel like this is happening at the microcosmic level within the gene code itself until the 144 strands ultimately come online. Now, that may be a way down the track, so to speak. We're certainly upgrading into the 12-stranded DNA superhuman consciousness, but that spinal movement is absolutely key at the moment. And we talk about that ocean gate. Chris actually brought this information through for himself, for me, for all of us, which was that when he saw that Andromeda seeded Lemuria, we have to, as a space-time continuum known as the Milky Way galaxy, we have to go interdimensional. We have to ask for help. So we call on the space-time continuum that we will ultimately collide with, and that's Andromeda. And so where do we seek? Do we keep going higher? No, we go deeper. We go deeper into the heart. We go deeper into our Lemurian self, our love. We choose to hold space for the depravity here. We choose to witness it, to not look away, to be the eternal mother that can contain all of this abuse and all of this horror. And so then the ocean gate opened up from those Lemurian templates. And I saw so many of us, so many of you listening here, I saw so many of you coming up like mermaids and mermen. And it's that movement with the spine. For me as a yogi, we were always taught Kundalini went like this, anti-clockwise. No, the spine moves in all sorts of different ways, and we must unclick and unlock the spine and the chakras and welcome in these new streams of energy into our consciousness. So think about why people are connected at the moment to mermaids and dragons. It's because of this. It's already dolphin.
Yeah,
but it's all of the movements now coming together and flowing together and to create this illumination. But I'm going to bring Michael Muir on because he's waiting patiently here in the green room. So our gorgeous friend Michael.
Hello guys. Nice to see you all again. Oh my goodness, I feel like it's all been said. It's all been, you're such beautiful people. I just love the tri-wave that you articulated, Raeline, and just feeling quite a lot in my body as both of you talked, you and Chris. So I'm just happy to be here and allow whatever comes through to come through, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I would like to talk about Andromeda because perhaps this might be something that Michael can express. When we were in Delphi, we the group, I was busy purging down in the village. I went through a very, very deep purging for 3 days, but for 24 hours. But I sent them up on a mission and they were successful. And basically I was told to send them up and Pegasus would take them on a journey to Andromeda, which will bypass all the wormhole activity through our Milky Way galaxy and give us an amazing anchor point, particularly for the inner child, or the come unto me as little children through that gate. And the most amazing thing occurred because I didn't know, why are we going with Pegasus? I knew that Mount Parnassus was one of his spiritual retreats, so that's fine. And I didn't understand the Andromeda bit straight away, but I did find out that, and thank you for that bit of information of the Lyre and Andromedan connection, that Pegasus is the son of Poseidon. And there's a really interesting, connection here because he's a protector of the children. And a lot of the tunnel activity doesn't just occur. There are tunnels all over this universe with this type of activity going on. And, it is all about our golden coding that we're having as the golden child. We're all golden children. It's not just the golden child.
Yeah.
In certain families, that's been hijacked too. But yeah, and it was through this child connection, this come unto me as little children, where Pegasus had our backs. And interestingly, I'll just say this. We're coming up to solstice, right? There are red tridents, which is a coveting of the divine mother energy. There are key places where triangles, black and white triangles. And I found this out later because I woke up with this Torino. And I'm like going, what the fuck's Torino? And then it's like, oh, Turin. So my whole time in purging was about Italy and the Vatican along the Apollo Athena ley line. So that has had a major, major clean out under the Vatican. But the true connector point was not in the Vatican. Like the true connector point is not in Gaza. Okay? It's in the ziggurats of Iran. Okay? And so we have to understand that a lot of this activity works peripherally, and all Stargate activity works peripherally. If you want to open a Stargate, you don't necessarily work direct hit. Like there are direct connect doorways between Karajuta, which is, for those that aren't aware of that name, that's the the sister brother connection between Uluru and Karajuta. So that's a direct connect doorway to Machu Picchu, for example.
Yes, and also through to Africa as well. And we do really need to get our eyes on Africa and our hearts on Africa. One of the things that's been coming through to me, and David Wilcock recently confirmed that Africa was promised to the negative draconian, faction there. Yeah, so I feel they've had it very rough, and we do need to be sending a lot of energy through to Africa in general.
I heard that Nigeria is already freed up and is holding incredible resources that the wealth of the planet is through there. A lot of the diamonds in Africa are holding the wealth. They are so rich. They are so rich, but they've been hoodwinked. And so, and this is where I'll get onto other Stargates and portals through the treasury houses. Like there are treasury houses in Delphi and in Egypt. And these treasury houses aren't just where material wealths were stored. This is where exchanges of knowledge, the wealth of knowledge were sent through these treasury houses. Petra, for example, the treasury house in Petra is a big one. That's a direct connect doorway as well, and the power there is through Aaron's rod. He's actually buried. A lot of these places, it's not the physical, what we can see. A lot of the energy stored in mountains. For example, Abu Simbel in Egypt. It's the mountain. Hatshepsut's temple in Egypt. It's the mountain. It's not the actual. That's why they built those structures there. They're the Stargates. When I was in Delphi, I saw a Stargate open, a gate that hadn't been open for a very, very long time. The plasma was sublime. And it opened up and connected in. All I kept hearing, as I said, I didn't go there for what I thought. It wasn't about Greece. It was about Italy. It wasn't about Atlantis. It was about Hyperborea. And then I didn't know, but I found out Apollo's mother is Hyperborea, and he's the king. He's the lord of Hyperborea. And that gateway that I saw was a gateway to Hyperborea. And so, there's so much opening up right now on our planet. There's so much happening. And we have a gazillion Stargates within our bodies. And, if you want to go to a Stargate, go with a sincere and open heart. Toroidal field is your Stargate. You have the gates in the body. You purify them. So the eyes, the nose, the ears, and the 2 lower orifices. All these orifices are purified as gateways, okay, to assure that you can traverse the gateways with purity, okay? There are many things that we can do in gateways to, you know, and we don't go there with the idea of doing, you know. You do without doing and everything gets done. Everything's done in stillness. Everything's done in sacred listening. We don't go with our agendas and ideas. And in this way, we are scanned. When we go to sacred sites, we are scanned. Because according to your consciousness, that's what you receive. According to your frequency band, that's what you receive. There's not one entry and exit to a stargate or through a stargate or to traverse through a stargate into other realms. There is not one way. It's all to do with our capacity. And there are those that have a very specific coding of earth and stellar DNA coding that, when blended and combined, can do specific work with stargates that these guys they can't do it. They can't hijack it. They can't piggyback. They can't block it. And so if we understand our capacity and what our modes of operation are within our roles and our designations and our identities dimensionally, we can, you know, we can achieve with our highest source code intent.
Powerful. We're going to, because I wanted to focus on what's happening in the Gaza Strip. Hopefully my internet will hold. So I would love because we're already at nearly at an hour. So I would love, let's bring it over to Michael just to have a chat, because we haven't heard much from you, Michael, as to what's been downloading for you, what's going on there, because, you know, it just seems like an absolute chaotic mess for any of us, you know, witnessing what's happening.
Sure. So thanks for the invitation of coming on today, guys. I haven't overly dipped into Gaza too much myself. When you invited me to come and join you all, I was feeling just to bring in a pillar of light for that area to help stabilize. What I was getting earlier is that it's necessary. It is necessary what is happening, even though it's painful to witness, especially the children aspect. Just to flick back for 1 second to what Raeline was saying about when she was going through the deep purge and Pegasus and the inner child. There's something that in what you were transmitting through your spoken word, then Raeline, that is there's a portal in the kidney space. In the kidney space, that's wanting to be released from the collective field. It feels like it's linked with the process of adrenochrome, yeah, and that it's the releasing of that code in the kidney of humanity. I feel that is going to almost sort of feels like it will neutralize the process of harvesting, so that even if they continue to access children, if you will, that they're not going to get the hit, because it has been a code that has been hidden in the kidney space and keeps getting reactivated by the propagation of fear in whatever form, that it is, and it does feel it's linked with the Pegasus energy, and behind that Andromeda, which is, it sort of feels like it connects with this pillar that I sort of got guided to bring in today for the Gaza Strip. It's like a rose gold. And it's working with the golden dragons and also the pink dragons of Andromeda, and it wants to come in and down through the center of Gaza, so that that it's kind of it acts as an anchor and a stabilizing point for the to stop the polarization that's going on somewhat, and to ease the hearts of those that are involved in all this catastrophe, if you want to call it that. So it feels like I'm not so I guess experienced in the portals and the in how it relates to other timelines, but I'm just feeling that if we can stabilize it here on the 3D and bring in this anchor point it will then shoot out to these other points, including the Iran piece. So it feels like it's a necessary disruption in that area so that we can anchor a pillar in. It's had to things have had, because it was jammed and it needed to be shaken up. But I'd love to hear what you guys feel. That's just my take. Yeah.
That's powerful.
I would like to add to that the end of the Apollo Athena line is Mount Carmel. Okay, very close to Jerusalem. Okay, so this is mega what's going on. So what's been happening tells me, because Gaza happened within weeks after this Italian aspect of the line. It's triggered a whole thing. And at the start of the line, Skellig Michael in the ocean, in Ireland, that are originally mountain peaks of Atlantis.
Oh, wow.
And so there's a whole clearing along that line occurring right now. So we'll just keep Mount Carmel in our hearts open.
Yes, it acts really, for those who understand, the physical body in terms of the energy body, the meridian system, you can say do some like a trigger point there in your hand, and it's going to run all the way into your intestines. That's how it works. So it's really the same system that goes on in the macrocosm. So we have to sometimes be guided. And for those of you, so many people are coming online very quickly. I heard from one of our beautiful trainees at My Health, My Business today, and she said she's in the astral all the time now. She's just spontaneously doing light language. She's seeing the shape shifting in different people. She can see someone who goes into a reptilian form when they're trying to siphon her energy. This is happening for a lot of you who are listening today. A lot of you are very advanced light workers, light warriors already, but don't be surprised if you're waking up at a rate of knots, and if you are taken into some of these grid points where you feel, why am I here? Why am I suddenly in Greece? Why am I suddenly in Italy? What's happening here? Trust yourself, trust the imaginative process. We did this as children before we were told that our imagination's not real. One of the greatest crimes that's ever happened to humanity is to tell us our imaginations aren't real. We're not real. There's this vast psyche that we can traverse through, which mimics and mirrors all that's happening out there in the outerscape. So we must remember that. Sometimes the trigger point to send love, to send light, to send frequency, healing, balance comes from another place on the earth grid. So yeah, powerful. I'd love for you, Chris, I'll just talk briefly about what was shown to me with Gaza. I was shown that it does represent one of the valves of our heart. It is that powerful. The land is that powerful. It absolutely is a holy land. That goes without saying. It was never meant to be for two factions only. It was meant to be for all of us to visit like a pilgrimage when we were called from the heart, because there is a stargate that opens to about a 7D. So it's like a higher heaven, ascended mastery realm that can be accessed there. This is why it's so coveted, of course. And when I went in astrally, I was shown a particularly slimy creature who sits there and was in charge of operations, that he had his kind of long talons in this space, clawing in the lower astral, and was really in command of who was coming in and who was going out, and was stirring up a lot of this trouble, this war that we see in the Gaza Strip. he had so many backup drives. For those who do a lot of astral work, you know that they have backup drives. So you have to go all the way through to the originator of the program. Think about the Matrix when you consider these sorts of things. You've got to get to the source of who created the program there in the first place. So, Chris, if you would, because you're so phenomenal in guiding astral missions. So, because there's a lot of us listening right now, we want to just first of all put ourselves, in a very beautiful, protective bubble. And but I'm going to let Chris, take us there and see if we can do some healing, some clearing. Michael and Raeline, if you'd like to bring in light language, if it arises for you as we go in, that would be wonderful as well.
Yeah, no problem. It's an interesting subject because I think, like the most of us here, the history behind it, the reasonings for it, they go back eons. I'm very good geographically. Like I don't understand the war in Gaza either to a 10th degree. I have snippets of information, but geographically I know exactly where it is. I know the history of the countries. And everything is about positioning. And when you sort of think about where the Gaza Strip is, it's sort of in that eastern Mediterranean Sea, or borders on the eastern Mediterranean, and it's got a number of big players involved around it. And you're talking bordering on one side of it, you've got Egypt, you've got Israel and Palestine. Egypt is a massive player in this game, even though their name has not been mentioned. Because since I've been sitting here for about 10 minutes, I've had some Egyptian mates tapping on my shoulder saying, I know you're about to do something. We'd like to play, if you don't mind. I have no idea what the message is, but we'll find out when we get there. So, yeah, it's interesting about the positioning of it because, when you're talking about Lemuria as well, even though we're talking about, South Pacific Ocean type areas, the Mediterranean plays a massive part in water energy as well. And it's sort of its crown and the jewel of the Northern Hemisphere when you're talking about crystalline waters. So yeah, I'll see where this ends up. So I guess, as Carrie said, we'll just get ourselves into a nice meditative, safe place, and we'll tap in and see what happens over the top of the Gaza Strip. So just take a few deep breaths, just a nice inhales and exhales, just the three of those, just so we can calm our nervous system, calm our minds, calm our energy. It's a nice big deep breath in. And one more, just to calm everything, bring everything back down to center. As I like to do in my astrals, I'll just draw a portal, or imagine a portal line that's taking you from where you're sitting or lying, wherever you may be right now. Draw a light portal all around you. That portal can be beautiful, crystal white, could have an angelic rainbow colors through it, but it's a spiral vortex. Don't be afraid just to climb inside that and move through that vortex. Where we're going is onto the rim of the fourth dimension. It's a viewing platform. You just got to sit above the earth right now and go to it. What I call it's a safe place. It's a safe house. And that fourth dimension is non-judgmental. It's equilibrium. It's balanced. Let me just get ourselves there for a moment. And as I said, it's a viewing room. So if we're sitting up in our viewing room and our eyes are now projecting down directly over that Gaza. As I said before, if you're looking geographically where that particular strip is, it's just on that eastern Mediterranean, just on the border of Egypt and Israel. They're telling me it is originally, through the eons there, they're just giving me a little bit of history on it, that it is actually originally Palestinian territory. So therefore I can understand why the aggression there between the two fighting unities there at the moment, being the Israelis and obviously the Palestinians. They're also telling me, I have heard this word, I don't know a great deal, so I'm only going off what they're telling me, but the Hamas, if that's I don't know what the Hamas is, but they're telling me the Hamas is monitoring that area. A bit like they're showing me a cross of sword, which basically means it's a resistance movement. So go with me on this, that they're basically at the moment trying to either protect it or defend it, but they've got a large involvement in it. As I said, I don't read the news or watch the news, so I'll have to find out a little bit more about this group or this entity that's a large part of the reason of why there's some issues there at the moment. So what I'm seeing is I'm just going to project out of this fourth dimension, and I'm just going to draw a portal now directly to that Gaza Strip, and I'm going to keep this portal pure and crystal white. I just don't need any information coming in at the moment that's not required. So we're just going to keep that portal line nice and clean and nice and clear. So we're just going to jump inside that, and we're just going to hover directly over that strip. We're just going to see and feed as much information as we can. So what I'm seeing through my third eye at the moment is literally, and it comes as no surprise, it is literally a battlefield. I'm just seeing lots of large craters, lots of destroyed land, lots of rubble, lots of turmoil. There's a lot of anguish down there. There's an enormous amount of fear. And there's a lot of, and what's the overriding emotion there at the moment is confusion, utter and utter confusion. I don't think they even really know what they're fighting for. They've been told there's a narrative. Whether that resonates with them, I don't know. The other thing that's coming through for me is, and it's actually coming back on about what was actually earlier said today, it's not even a territorial struggle here. It goes even further. These lands, and particularly in that geographical area, are so rich what is underneath it. And they're showing me that there is, underneath that Gaza Strip, there lays a massive golden ley line. It is pure gold that is underneath the crust. And and that gold is activating, as we have seen since the year of 2020. A lot of ley lines have come back online. The aquifers are starting to realign through Africa. So a lot of this energetic transmissions that are occurring underneath the crust of Earth is the reason of a lot of these battles. It's about pollution. It is about destroying what is underneath there, because if these areas activate, and you're also talking, hence the reason why the Egyptians are coming in strongly for me at the moment, is I think we all know that there is an activation portal above the pyramids or Egypt, which is directly to the Orion portal. So you're talking about an area that has got a very large Stargate. So the media might be telling you that it is a battle between territory, and one particular organization wants to own that land or reclaim that land. I believe it's far deeper than that. And unfortunately, it becomes once again a galactic energetic battle. Whether those soldiers on the walking around on the top of the crust of the earth understand what's going on, I don't believe that they do. They're just under instructions. But once again, like even humanity here, it is a large energetic battle. So what I'd like the collective group to do is, if we can just send some energy towards those golden ley lines that sit directly underneath that Gaza Strip, send it some support, some love, activation. Feel yourself, like if you're not sure, just feel yourself, even if you're diving into a pool, and pretend that pool is just liquid gold and that you're bathing in it. You're reconnecting to it. Let that pool of gold energy know that we are here and we see it clearly, and we want to send our transmissions to activate it, to let it know that it has a role to play here and that we are one. We are liquid gold ourselves. So let's reunite with that majestic element, because there is golden spheres out there. There is golden dragons. There is golden everything. And that is one element that we cannot shut down. So let's just take a moment and just send some Reiki power there and recharge it. Feel like you're the battery operator. You're about to give it a jump start.
Michael, do you want to jump in with some light language there to anchor that?
Sure. Shibagiana de Shile Bargiana Radige Bashala Bargiata to de ala Cargiana Nana Shile Bedegiakishki, Dorondo de Gebadanana Kashala Bargianda Regile Shilegigi, Oshkondo Ronde Gebadana la Shalakato de Gabarkondo Gabarana Shala Gebadanaka, Shilbagi Ashishka Badabarandare, Shalabarayandare, Shalabariandare, Shalabarianda de Boshalabariando Danaka. Sholebarishke la bargonde de gadishkalaka, shondareske de barigi, shondoreska randaragi, shodareska la garandaraki. What has been taken from the people will be returned.
Getting
Raeline?
actually go, because
Yeah, I just want to hear from Raeline.
Yeah.
Oriana haru to kuhuyete anahariete. Hipopopayana haru to kukuro to kuyene estayana. Ahoro to ki e karatuko o koro to tayana atuko. Hiharu to kuyene e haru to tip e ta 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 ta. E claro to ira nana e ala caro to ista caro na e hakuro to ko oro to tiene ertico. So this is a blessing from the magenta dragon who came through this morning. And it's a gifting and a gratitude to humanity who are holding the principle of materializing spirit and spiritualizing matter. I saw an amazing golden trident being anchored into the ocean, and the ripple effect of that anchoring through the language and what we were all holding just went out across all the oceans. And it was anchored in at a point that was our inner sun and the inner earth sun. And so this is going to create greater stabilization with the connection with the solar emissions and igniting our golden plasmic blood. And as I said, this is becoming, it's not tasty anymore for those that want to utilize certain blood rituals. And so, this is what I saw. And in particular, I learned to scuba dive for this oceanic grid work in the Red Sea. And so I am familiar with that region in under the oceans. And so that's where it was anchored. Wow. And there's a point, Jordan, Eilat, it's Jordan, Egypt, and Israel. It's like a golden triangle. So they're amazing dolphins. But that was the point in the Red Sea. And 90% of our marine life is in the Red Sea, funnily enough. But that is going out, and the rippling was just oceanic consciousness for all. Wow,
powerful. All right, Chris, I'll let you just finish us off and bring us out.
Yeah, there was particularly when guys were doing your beautiful light language. I have a funky little friend by the name of Horace, who I'm sure we all know. Horace comes to me a lot, and particularly with issues on our planet, because obviously he has spent some time here. This is the part gets a little confusing because I know where Egypt lies geographically, but doesn't have a lot to do with exactly what's going on. But in many ways they do, and it's more of an energetic thing. What he was telling me is it's the ancient story that is resurrecting itself, and what he is saying is that the energy of Seth is bombarding that particular gateway, is that he is alive and he is well and he has risen. And the reason that he is creating war and destruction and chaos is because those golden ley lines are so important, because if they completely activate to their maximum potential, we are literally on a golden pathway to it spilling over like a lava canyon, like it's like a volcano erupting. Hence the reason why they're trying to keep this energy down in this particular area. If we create negative forces on top of that earth crust of what's below it, and negative forces is through war and destruction and being antagonistic. The war doesn't have to make sense. There is no reason for it anyway. I mean, you can make up some bullshit reason that the media have given you and you can run with it, knock yourself out. But the reason is if this ley line erupts, activates, as I keep saying, it's going to spill over into the remaining ley lines that are on the earth, because there's many of them that are blocked. Because in 2020, or around that period, might have been 21, and Carrie and I went into Uluru with the magic box activation, which was a lot to do with activating the earth ley line, particularly here in Australia, that have been blocked for a long time.
I'll just jump in, Chris. Sol Reader's just jumped on, and she's been here for a bit. But isn't that, like you just mentioned, you wouldn't, I know you can't see the comments normally when you're on live, but we were there with Sol Reader. How amazing.
Oh, there you go. It's great. Fantastic. Hi, Sol Reader. So yeah, I just wanted to, I'll go in and I'll finish off very quickly with the horror stuff, because he keeps nagging and chatting. He's not nagging, he's a lovely, lovely bird. And he's a bird, and he does have a great sense of humor. So
they all do.
But he's been like chirping away, literally going, tell him this. And so I'll just I'll quickly go in and I'll deactivate and we'll come back out, and then we can see what we see. So just reiterating Horace's magical words, that the ancient mythology and the stories that are ingrained as us as a child, and also the ancestry that came before us, should never be forgotten, because a lot of it is about repeated patterns. A lot of it is also about the continuous loop. And as he's saying, our great stories may have happened, millenniums ago, but the energy never dies. It's like a soul. The soul will continue to evolve and move and ascend, and it's the same as their lineage and their stories. And he's saying the ancient art of the Luciferic energy, or the Seth energy that is coming through that particular area, is about that destruction and the chaos. So he said it's not dissimilar to playing out historical patterns here. Once again, it's all linked. So he's saying go in and understand what happened then. Read my story and you'll be aware of how they tried to nullify his birth. And if you do know the story of how Isis had to flee and run and give birth to Horus on the banks of the Nile, on the marshlands, in order for him to rise, to become the sun and the sky god. And through that tyranny that he had to struggle through his birth, he has had to defy a lot of negative energy and still remain an important force in our life. He's still there for us. He's still challenging us. He's still giving us the information. So I just needed to relay his participation in this and his support. And I want to thank everybody for sending some beautiful energy towards those golden lakes and rivers that run underneath that Gaza, because it's very appreciative feeling that collective energy there. So what I'd like to do is just take that observation, and if we can move back into our portals, that crystal beautiful white portal. And before we leave, just give it that beautiful Choki Ray loving energy. And we will hold that place dear in our hearts, the children there that are suffering, the families, the innocence, the bravery, the confusion. We hold that in our hearts for you right now. We see you clearly. We see you clearly. And we're going to continue to keep sending you energy. So if we just transfer back to that beautiful fourth dimension, where we can go back to our viewing room and literally close down this transmission today, because we don't necessarily want to take all of that energy on ourselves. We need to make sure our vessel is clean, it's organic. And we give thanks for allowing us to peer into a different narrative about what's going on in that world, and take from this watchings, get your own downloads. And I give thanks and a big namaste. And all I like to do to get rid of the energy is just do a Choku Ray, 3 of them, and I usually clap just to disperse it. So I'll just do a Choku Ray, Choku Ray, Choku Ray.
Powerful, powerful. This is a beautiful comment. Oh, they're all beautiful comments. You can tell like the caliber of Lightworkers here is, yes.
Yeah, that's a heavy area.
That is heavy. This beautiful comment. Many, many thanks to you all for this session, presenters and participants. Being connected in unity consciousness is so powerful, and it was so wonderful to contribute in this setting. I was gifted the gift of accessing the vortex of love by Isis when I was in Egypt at the Isis temple. This was activated during the energy offering for Gaza. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That all syncs up with everything that you just brought through as well, Chris. So yeah, thank you. So powerful. We're going to start wrapping it up, but I'm going to come over to Michael. Michael, you were so kind to come on last minute and bring in that powerful light language, which, I mean, the two of you together doing the light language is just off the charts. So what have you got coming up, Michael, just so people can find you?
Oh, okay. So my link tree is Michael Muir. If you want to check my work out, I have got a 12/12 portal activation in Sydney coming up. I just really wanted to say thank you so much, Chris, for guiding us. Then it was a really powerful experience, and for the light language as well, Raeline, and everything all the wisdom that you hold. And thanks, Carrie, for getting us together, for goodness sake. So I just really feel to say, just a piece that came in quickly, I just wanted to share is that there's some sort of also that being that you mentioned that's sitting above the black energy. There's also some sort of tendrils underneath, above the like the gold's there, and then there's this black goo, and it's sort of some of it is kind of attaching through the back of the spinal cord into the kidney space and the back of the heart to the people on the ground. And that's part of the confusion and how they're getting people to fight a bit more. So if people feel to, in their own sacred space, feeling protected and guided, want to work with releasing some of that, it might be useful in the future. Thank you. That's all I want to say.
In relation to that, metaphysically, the kidneys are relationships, and I just kept hearing right relationship to self, right relationship to self. So there's an opportunity here for people to come back into source code.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Powerful. Powerful, powerful. Oh, we're going to love going through your comments. I kind of get to read them as we're on live, but these guys don't really get a chance, so it'll be lovely for them to go back and read all your powerful comments, everyone who's tuning in live. Thank you so much for coming together as a group to do this incredible clearing and healing. So you can find Raeline on Facebook there, Raeline SQS Brady. Anywhere else that you want us to find you at the moment, Raeline, or work that you're doing that people may want to get involved in?
Yeah, well, I also have my Soul Quintessence page, which I also share too. And every solstice, I offer the Unkrilatumi activations, galactivations. So I'll be putting those up for this season of solstice. And I just received this morning, just be aware there's a whole thing going on with that, with the Saturnalia festival that occurs at winter solstice every year as well. So just put some extra energy into this solstice because, that dark festival is like their last hurrah. So let's just focus on that as well. Not on that, but just holding this golden liquid light that we have received through the lay arteries of our beloved Gaia Galactica, and know that her living libraries are always accessible to all of us in any given moment. So, yeah, thank you.
Exciting times to be on Earth, powerful times, what we're moving into and doing it as a collective. So Chris kind of shies away from Facebook. You won't ever find him, but you'll see him in the astral.
I would just like to say, just when you started, Chris, Orion came bolting down the hallway and started doing zoomies right in front of me, and I'm like, "Calm down, calm down." Now he's sleeping.
The animal energy,
right on cue with the vortex energy.
Yeah, it's amazing what comes through when you, I guess, connect. And it's talking about. There's so many pieces of information and narrative flying around about subjects, and really those answers lie deep within. And it's amazing where things take you and messages that come in, because it's just another aspect of what's going on in a very multi-dimensional war that's happening there at the moment. It's not just always about territory or religion.
It's a very involved story.
Yeah, it runs
very involved. And it's off planetary as well as planetary.
Correct.
And yes, Palestinians are original Hebrews. They are.
Yep.
So, there's a lot going on. And there's a lot of hoodwinking as well. But yeah, people are, even, there's the land of Israel and there's the state of Israel. And they are two very different things. Like there's, the Vatican state, like there's the city of London. These are very different places than the real organic geometry and structures, elemental and molecular structures of these places on sacred earth. And we are starting to recognize our blueprints, our gold prints, and to really come on board with discerning what's what, who's who in the zoo. And, it's pertinent, it's necessary now. This is where we're up to. And, there's a lot of coveting of these energies, but we have to understand that what people speak and what comes out of their mouths isn't necessarily, a vibratory match. So stay with the vibration of what you're feeling about these scenarios that are unfolding within our planetary spheres, because it is so pertinent for what's going to create the speeding up, if you will, of the consciousness, this oceanic consciousness, and this is expansiveness that's required of us now. This is what we've signed up for. So how can we do this? Be of sincerity in the heart. How can we help children? Deal with any sexual issues you've ever had in your lives, or where you've coveted yourself sexually in situations, because those energetics are being coveted. Check out your astrology with Ceres, the partner to Mars. Check out your astrology with Dark Moon Lilith. These forces are being incredibly hijacked. Look at your astrology. Look at what's there. Try to understand what's going on for you with what's being what's being propagated.
Beautiful, darling. All right, we're signing off for today, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to my beautiful, beautiful souls that have come on and shared their wisdom and energy.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Carrie. Always a pleasure.
Namaste.
Yay.
Next time, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.